Now, tensions are rising at the Senekal Magistrate Court in the Free State ahead of the two suspects' bail hearing in the killing of farm manager Brendin Horner. Now, hundreds of EFF supporters and the farming community have gathered outside court. Meanwhile, EFF leader Julius Malema is expected to address his supporters very shortly. The farming community in the area has threatened chaos if Sikweche Mahlaba as well as Sekola Matletsa are granted bail. However, Police Minister Begicele said officers are fully prepared for any eventuality. Mahlamba and Matlaletsa are accused of the murder of farm manager Brendin Horner. They were arrested 2 weeks ago after Horner's body was found tied to a pole on the De Rots farm. Let's chat now about this political situation and a whole lot more. Ongama Mtimka joins us live from the Nelson Mandela University in Port Elizabeth. Ongama, this is certainly a knife's edge. It looks to be boiling over. How far can we say that things have gone in this regard? And is there a way back, really? Because it just seems as though we've perhaps toppled over on one end here.
Yeah, I'm glad cool heads have prevailed so far. This was not, the build-up to this day was characterized with a lot of warmongering rhetoric and polarization. Obviously, we know that what triggered the EFF action in the first place are perceived inconsistencies in terms of how the state is responding to acts of violence by protesters. They felt that they needed to come in here because they believe this is they are protesting against the arrogance of whiteness. But you see, I do find that it was a little reckless and irresponsible to have a private political party, which is an association of private persons, come in to protest against what they see to be a failure of the state. When that happens, along with the threats by the farming community to take to wreak chaos in the country should an outcome that they desire not be upheld, all of those point to a state that is on a path towards becoming a fragile state, obviously fragility replacing failure, as it were, in terms of official characterization of states between advanced democracies and fragile states.
Yeah, I suppose this also says a lot, though, about South Africa's race relations at present as well, though, doesn't it? Because clearly the EFF must see it one way, and clearly the farm workers as well, out, particularly not just the De Rots farm, but out in the Free State area, perhaps looking at this as a racial issue as well.
So who must take full responsibility for that are lobby groups like AfriForum and organized farmer groups, which racialize the killings of farmers. So if you look at crime in South Africa, business people operating spaza shops in townships get killed every day, and in fact they fear operating their businesses at night because thugs come and rob them. But with farm murders in particular, people don't take it as just criminality. It has been politicized by groups like AfriForum, and as such has triggered a response which is politicized too. And that then, fuels racial tensions. So who must take responsibility for racial tensions are both the right-wing farmer groups there, as well as the economic freedom fighters, whose rhetoric leading up to this has also, been playing along the lines of race. Whether justifiably or not, that's inconsequential because the mobilization itself is along racial lines.
All right. So I think I wonder then, Ongama Mtimka, what happens from here on then? I mean, how do you see this perhaps ending? If the two accused do get bail, I mean, the farm workers have threatened quite ferociously to go out in their numbers here in some sort of perhaps violent behavior, which will of course spark even greater violence from the opposing side, there being the EFF. On the other end of the scale, if the EFF doesn't get their way as well, this could still boil over. So is there really any good way in which this ends?
I think that farmers and the representative groups like AfriForum and the right-wing elements within the farming community must recognize the potential danger of racializing farm attacks and treating them differently from the attacks of business people operating businesses in townships, because they get killed, they get robbed all the time, businesses and townships. So first of all, there need to be a depoliticization of these acts of criminality. And then secondly, we need to tread carefully in South Africa when it comes to racial polarization. Obviously, the country is not racially polarized when the EFF or its right-wing opponents take political action. It's already polarized. So we do need thoroughgoing interventions that, one, result in transformation of patterns of ownership in the economy, but also measures that are taken to try and educate the South African public about the dangers of racialized and identity politics, among other things.
Yeah.
And also just national healing, which is required in order for us to move forward. And it doesn't happen by driving this narrative that black people should just forget the hundreds of years of racial organization in South Africa and polarization. It takes a conscious remembrance of what has happened in the history, but also a commitment by both business and government to actually take steps that are aimed at ensuring that we build inclusive economies so that we minimize the potential for grievance exploitation.
Very finally, is there a way back, very shortly?
There is a way back. South Africans are not in the extremes in terms of the political organization. That is why you will find that political support centers on centrist parties, not parties that are on the extremes. So I think there is support, but we cannot be complacent that South Africa cannot tilt towards, a civil war. This was a defining moment, and we need to ensure that we don't, police do their work, but also society is responsive enough. And I think so. Police did an exceptional job today, we must say, in terms of preparedness and prevention, making sure people are searched and ensuring that in the precinct of the court there is less armed people.
Yeah. Ongama Mtimka, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. There it certainly is on a knife's edge, a whole lot still to come out of this story, then out of the Free State. Hopefully we can continue to get more word on it there as well. Of course, we'll continue to follow it as it transpires. Let's get into the